Hello, welcome to this easy Linux box. It was quite an easy machine, but there were just some steps you had to take to, for example, gain privileges escalate privileges or get access, which were sort of more than you had to do for the default. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go into what I've done. So first of all, there's gonna be scans. It wasn't that interesting, only you see a web page. So if you go to the web page, which is gonna be Shoppy.hectorbox, once you get here, there's literally nothing you can find here. So what I'm immediately going to do is going to run a FUF scan. You want to run it on the on the website, and then you have to do a fuzz. This is the one I will be using. I'm just using a standard word list of the RAF medium. You're not going to find much, only just some redirects. And for example, /admin is quite an interesting one. So if I go to /admin, you can see we get to this Shoppy login page. And it appears to be some custom login page, which is always pretty interesting to see if you can do some SQL injection. So what you can always try, of course, is just some basic strings like this. For some reason, this server hangs if you do some type of injection, which is quite weird. But what we can do to sort of get over this thing is just capture this request and try to do things through the burp suite one. So I'm just going to enable the proxy, so just burp. I'm just going to cancel this reload. Forward is good. And I'm just going to do add like this. So just log in. We can see that we have this request. I'm just going to send it to a repeater. And if I send it, I can see I get just a normal redirect to wrong credentials. The way you can try to do this is there's actually no SQL injection involved as well. So what you can try to do once you see this is you can try running SQL map, but it's not going to bring any results. Supposedly what this is doing, like I said, if we do this, it's not going to work. So we have to do no spaces. So you can do %20 and then again %20, for example. But this is just going to hang forever. It's not really going to do anything. But this is essentially a no SQL thing. So if you just look at no SQL injection examples, you will see how it works. Let's just see if they have some good examples. It's going to be JSON format most of the time. So it's going to be NEs. I think it's no input or something like that. But it's going to run it inside these brackets. The way you can sort of use this, if this was to be a standard query, you could, for example, input this. So you would get, if this was sort of encapsulated, for example, inside of these, you would get this kind of query. So if the username is equal to admin, or, because this is an or statement, nothing is equal to nothing, which is going to always be true. And this password is this, which it doesn't care because it's or, right? So it's going to be this is true or that is true. So you're just going to run this. But I believe if you read it this way, username is going to be admin or null is equal to null and this is equal to that. It seems weird because it means these both have to be correct. But there's something inside the Mozilla documentation which states that the or goes first, basically, for some reason. So it's only doing this part. So it could be false, false, or true, false here. Doesn't matter. It's just going to run this first part first. So if we just go to burp suite and actually try to do the injection here, for example, like by doing this, and I just have to remove the case or the spaces because they don't really matter here, like this. You will see a redirect to the admin page. So we can actually just copy this thing. It should do a redirect to the admin page, I believe. It's taking a while now. Why is it taking a while? Cancel. Just do it again. And there we go. Oh, I had an extra. Was it in there? It wasn't there. You don't need this extra one. Right. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go to the page. I'm just going to provide this with an empty password. If we now log in, we can see we get into some product Shoppy page. There's nothing we can click here. So immediately what I'm interested in what can the buttons do here. And if I do, for example, admin, I can see I get the download exports, which just gives us a hash. We can copy this hash, but there's another better way to sort of get access to more users. Is we know the application is vulnerable to SQL injection or no SQL injection, I should say. So if we sort of end the command and then do a return of, let's see, this. You can see we get the export of all the users. So what command I run, I have it in my notes. I'm just going to show it here. So I ran this command. So it's going to end the command, so whatever it's trying to run. Then it's going to return empty when it's equal to, and then this one should end it itself because it's going to end it like this. Right. So we get all the hashes. If we save these hashes inside of a hashes file, we can try to crack it. So if we look at, if you don't know what this looks like a MD5 hash straight out of the box, but you can go to recognize hash. So it's going to be some hash analyzers which help you analyze which kind of hash it is, but we can see it's MD5 or MD4, which we know, right? Now let's just go to the hashcat map, and we can try to search for MD5. And immediately we see we have some codes we can use. So it's going to be 0, or if we have some other type of hash or salt, we can use other ones. If you want to use MD4, we can also find them as 900. But first of all, I'm just going to try MD5 because it's most, like a lot of the time it's just used. Hashcat M of 0, and then we have hashes, and then the password we're going to use is just going to be RockU. It's quite an easy one, and most of the time it works. I should have already run this, but I think it's trying it again. And there we go, we got exhausted. It should not bring an exhausted. Oh, maybe I've already ran it, so it's going to be show. Yeah, okay, sorry, I already ran it, so I don't need to. If we're just going to copy this password, and we have to know some way of logging in, because we know this is user Josh, as it stated it in the website, but you don't know where to log in. You can try different things. What you'll end up on if you run this FUV scan on the user http://shop text box, and then just this one, we will scan for subdomains as we sort of put the search thing here. What it's going to find, it's going to find a Mattermost instance. So if we go to Mattermost, we see we get some login form. It should bring me a login form, which is allowing us to log in as specific users. So what we'll try is we'll just go to Josh with the remember me this way password, and we can see we get on something of a channel thing. So we have Shoppy, then there's some coffee break, which is just a gorgeous cat. Deploy machine, which just states a username and password, which I'm just going to copy. And then we have some development, which is not really worthwhile. And then we have town square. So what I'm immediately going to do is I'm just going to SSH into Jaeger at 10.10.11. I forgot the IP address, which is going to be, it's not here, 180. And we're just going to do provide a password, which we've copied, and we see we get onto the machine. You can find the user.txt, of course. It was not that kind of difficult, but if you now run the sudo, we can see we can actually run this command as a user. So if we now try to run as deploy and see what kind of application this is, we have to enter a password. So I'm just going to do test, incident will be reported. And there's no way of sort of seeing what is inside this. So it could be inside of strings, so it's just going to check. But there's no like literal way of finding out what this is running. So if you can't do anything here, a good way is to download it to your own machine and try to see inside of the code. One way we can do this is by copying the code. So I'm just going to do exit out of this. And I'm going to do an SCP on Jaeger at 10.10.11.180. And then you have to choose the path where it is at. So it's just going to be this. I'm just going to copy it to where my current location is. Now I have not copied its password, so I'm just going to go back to the deploy machine one and copy its password. So it's Shoppy best app. Let me copy. I didn't do it like this. We should get the, it's wrong. Why is it wrong? I probably didn't copy it correctly. CCCCC, try again. There we go. So now we actually have it and we can still run it. So it's going to be password manager, password, password manager, run it. Okay, /password manager, enter the password. Well, we can't find anything. The way we can now do this, it's going to try things. I'm not sure why it's not running, but we're going to run Ghidra. So I'll just go to where I've installed Ghidra, and with me it's inside of opt. So if I just go into Ghidra, and then there's something called Ghidra run, I believe. So /Ghidra run. It will open up the Ghidra one, and I have already opened the application, so it might sort of bug out and already show me the answer, but I'm just going to go through it again. So it's going to open a project, which I've just done on this one. And we're just going to open a file. It's already opened, so I don't have to do these things. What you can do is you can open this file as import file, and you can just go to password manager, which is the one we need. So if I import this, so yeah, like this one already exists, so you can call it differently. But the way it works is, no, okay, I don't like to analyze it. If you just go to functions, there's always going to be a main, and this is the best one to check out what is happening in the function. So if I just click on main, oh, sorry, I have to analyze it again. I'm just going to have to import it again. Select file, manage, let's just do manage. Would you like to analyze it? Yes. And this is already going to find the pointers to, for example, the main function. So if I now try to go to main, it should open up the source code. So you can actually see the assembly code here, or like almost assembly. And then this is going to be the sort of code. It tries to humanize the code, basically. So if we look at the humanized code, we can actually see something funny is happening. So it's creating some variables. It's going to create a string, doing some operator checks. And then here we actually have this string, which is sample, because they're adding this string every time, then it's comparing it. So this means it's not finding it in strings. So when you run a strings command, because that's just trying to read human readable code and seeing if it's longer than 5 characters. So this is the password, but just they added it this way, so it won't show up in strings. So if we now SSH into the user Jaeger again, and I still don't have the password, so I have to copy it again. If we just go into here and try to, wait, the command was, oh, sorry. This was the command, I'm messing up. This, we can see we can actually run it, deploy, and this one, with the password sample, and we will actually find that we get this deploy app. You can try to log in as su deploy, and if we just provide a password, we can see we get something. There is no root here, because if we just try to go to /root, there is no root, because we're inside the Docker container. The way you can sort of opt out of this, if you look at, for example, Docker privilege escalation, there is a couple of methods we can actually run this to see what kind of, I guess, escalation you want. So you can go to, for example, your own, or you can mount the root thing. I'm just going to run this one. It's kind of similar, but since our names are different, I'm just going to have to sort of manually do it. But the way we're doing it is we're just breaking out of the restricted environment by spawning an interactive system shell. So instead of Docker, you can actually spawn a system shell instead of being on the system and spawning a system shell, or spawning a root Docker shell. Right, so we're just going to run Docker run IT for interactive, verbose for the output, inside /root, because we want to go into the root of the system. And this is going to be the name of where we are in our system, which is going to be mount, and then alpine, because that's the image name. If we go into this, we can see who am I and PD. We're inside of root, basically. So if we just do ls here, we can actually see where we are, which is pretty cool. And now the root is what's called mount on our system, because that's what I called it, right? So this is how you can find its system flag. And it's almost similar to this one, because as verbose, and then we just interactive, which was here. This one is gonna remove it, but you don't need to. And this is one of the ways you can escalate Docker escalate privileges. And that's pretty much it.